Picture this, you're looking at beautiful waterfront homes in Portland's Old Port. You're dreaming about walks to the lighthouse and fresh lobster rolls near your home. The photos look amazing, and your agent talks about a perfect paradise. But here's what they're not telling you about life in Portland. There's some serious hidden costs and limits that could wreck your budget and your peace of mind. We're talking about flood risks, property taxes, and fees that keep going up. And many people don't even realize that these things will be part of their new life here. But I'm here to tell you what other agents don't. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what investors and home buyers should watch for and how to navigate Portland's specific challenges. Let's start with a big issue most agents skip over: flooding and rising sea levels. So Portland sits right on Casco Bay. While this location gives you amazing views, it also puts some neighborhoods in danger. Here's the reality. Areas like East Bayside and Back Cove are pretty, but they're also in FEMA's special flood hazard zone, depending on what pocket you're in. Right now, small floods happen during what people call king tides. But here's the problem. A 10-year storm only needs to reach 13 feet, just 1 foot higher, to cause big flooding issues. Yeah. NOAA says Portland could see another 1.5 feet of sea level rise by 2050. Maine has already experienced 8 inches of sea level rise over the last century, so this additional rise would be a pretty significant impact. Because when you already have flooding at 12-foot tides, every inch matters a lot. And these changes are reshaping FEMA's flood maps, which means insurance costs are going up year after year. Hold that thought. I'll be circling back to fees in a second. What actually surprises people most is how much flood risk changes from block to block in Portland. 2 nearly identical condos, just a few streets apart, may have very different insurance needs. The difference often comes down to just a few feet in height, but that can mean thousands of dollars more in yearly insurance costs. What do smart buyers do? They work with an agent that understands the FEMA's Flood Map Service Center and Portland's flood mapping tools before making offers. These tools show you exactly where possible homes sit in flood zones. Before I get into more realities, I gotta tell you this. I've helped hundreds of people navigate Maine's tricky seasonal real estate market. So hit the subscribe button if you're ready to move beyond tourist-focused advice. It'll be great to see you here again. Okay, now let's talk about insurance and taxes that often shock Portland newcomers. Home insurance costs much more than you might expect. Speaking numbers, the average home insurance in Portland costs between $1,145 to about $1,300 per year. That's about $100 to $250 higher than Maine state average of $991. Those premiums alone are roughly 0.2% of your home's value. But add in wind and flood riders, and your insurance bill can climb quickly. If you're in FEMA's flood zones, you'll need separate flood insurance on top of regular coverage. This isn't optional if you have a mortgage. It's actually required. In Portland, flood insurance through NFIP runs about $1,029 per year on average, though rates can vary based on elevation and the exact zone you're in. Property taxes bring another budget jump scare. Maine's average effective property tax rate is 1.17%, which is well above the US average of 0.9%. In Cumberland County, where Portland sits, the median annual property tax bill is $4,372. Last one in this category, Portland now assesses properties at 100% of market value. This means after you buy, the assessed value can jump significantly on reassessment. It means your tax bill is way higher, especially if you paid above asking. And that's something that's been going on around here too. Bottom line, the mix of higher insurance costs and above average property taxes can easily add $6,000 to $8,000 to your yearly housing costs beyond your mortgage. But there's more. You've got hidden costs that might sneak up on you and make those numbers even higher. Let's check them out. It's definitely important to talk about something that trips up many Portland buyers, especially those looking downtown and in the Old Port. Truth is, most listings in these prime spots are condos, and that means monthly HOA fees that can really impact your budget. Current data shows that monthly HOA dues in Portland condos range from the $300 to over $1,000 a month. The fee increase can happen for specific reasons. Delayed repairs are a big one, especially for roofs and siding in our harsh Maine weather. When a building's board puts off needed repairs for several years, it eventually forces large special assessments that get passed on to unit owners. These surprise bills can go really high for major building work. Building up reserve funds is another fee driver that alarms condo owners. Industry guidelines recommend reserves equal to at least 10% of the annual budget, but many Portland HOAs fall short. When reserve levels drop too low, monthly dues must rise to rebuild that safety net. Then there are special charges for city utility upgrades. When Portland upgrades water, sewer, or electrical systems downtown, the costs often get passed to the buildings and then the unit owners. These required assessments can run into the low thousands per unit. These annoying kind of hidden costs also happen to be heating, which we'll talk about too. When you compare condo living in downtown Portland versus buying a house in nearby towns like South Portland or Falmouth, Many relocators or investors only look at the purchase price, but they forget about those monthly HOA fees, plus the fee increases over time. A $384 a month monthly fee might not sound too bad, but that's $4,608 per year. If the fee increases by just 3% each year, you're looking at a big long-term cost that adds up over time. Speaking of seasonal shifts, here's something that completely changes Portland's living experience depending on the time of year. Portland in summer versus Portland in winter feels like two totally different cities. During peak summer months, especially in July, Portland welcomes over 204,000 cruise ship passengers who basically flood the Old Port District. Tourist foot traffic clogs Commercial Street daily. Parking becomes a huge nightmare, especially near the waterfront and in the Old Port, where most visitors go. Restaurant waits get longer, popular spots feel packed, and the peaceful morning walk that you enjoyed in May suddenly means weaving through tons of visitors snapping photos. But then winter comes, and the crowds evaporate. Hotel occupancy in downtown Portland drops from around 85% in July, closer to 50% in January and February, leaving the streets quiet and many businesses cutting hours or closing until spring returns. Suddenly, the busy waterfront district feels almost empty, and the restaurants you once struggled to get into may only open a few days a week. This creates an interesting vibe for year-round residents. Is this a deal breaker? It's really up to you to decide, honestly. I highly suggest visiting Portland during both peak summer and deep winter months before buying. Spend a couple days in July when the city is full, then come back in January or February when it's just year-round residents. Now, I gotta show you the tough reality of actually buying a home in today's Portland real estate market. The competition and pricing are unlike anything most buyers have seen before. Portland's housing market has become expensive. The 2024 median single-family price hit $585,000, up 6.3% from 2023. Condos just reached an even higher median of $629,000, jumping 19.8% in just 1 year. Right now, we're at $590,000 for the median price, so that's been going on for a while. But the high prices are only part of the challenge. The competition for good properties, especially anything coastal or walkable, has become incredibly fierce. Out-of-state buyers from Boston and New York bring big city budgets to compete for Portland's limited homes. Retirees with large proceeds from selling homes in more expensive areas can afford to pay cash or well above the asking price. Homes are selling at around 20 days or so. This competition forces many people into tough decisions. Skipping home inspections has become really common, even on older properties or properties that really should have a professional check. Buyers waive appraisal contingencies, accepting the risk that they might owe the difference if the bank values the home for less than the purchase price. Some even forgo financing contingencies, promising they'll close no matter what happens to their loan. For buyers from more traditional markets, Portland's competition feels overwhelming and risky. Making offers up to 40% above asking isn't unusual for waterfront or downtown properties. Even with those aggressive bids, you might still lose to a cash buyer or somebody willing to take bigger risks. Pricing pressure has pushed many people to look outside Portland itself. Towns like Falmouth and Scarborough provide similar pricing, all offering 10 to 15% savings compared to Portland, while keeping reasonable access to city features. But these suburban options also typically have lower property taxes and fewer HOA costs, making them a great choice for buyers who want the Maine coastal living without Portland's premium price tag. Since I mentioned coastal living, let me tell you about some of the challenges you might expect in daily life around here. Transportation presents the first major adjustment for most new residents. Greater Portland Metro runs 15 local bus routes, plus 3 express services, but coverage is still pretty limited compared to big cities. Only 1.8% of commuters use public transit. 1%. So the reality is, most Portland residents do need a car for daily transportation, commuting, and errands. This car dependency brings its own costs, requiring tires, regular maintenance, and higher insurance rates due to storm damage risks. As we've seen earlier, parking downtown during tourist season also becomes expensive and hard to find. Owning a car can really get frustrating during peak months, and heating costs represent another big ongoing expense that many people underestimate. Maine winters are long and they're truly cold. As of April 2025, the average delivered heating oil price in Greater Portland was $3.48. So households burning 800 gallons per season should budget around $2,800 for heating alone. That doesn't include the service cost as well. Last but not least, it's true, Portland offers limited big city conveniences compared to places like Boston or New York. While the food scene is incredible for a city of its size, shopping options are still somewhat limited, entertainment venues are fewer, and specialized services that you might take for granted in larger cities simply aren't available here. The key is honestly evaluating whether Portland's lifestyle and seasonal changes match your long-term lifestyle goals and tolerance for the limits that come with smaller city living. So, are these things deal breakers for your move? Absolutely not. Portland offers undeniable coastal charm and a quality of life that can't be matched. You can definitely get a lot of savings in the suburbs too. But success here requires going in with your eyes wide open about the real costs and challenges. If you need help making your move to Maine, you can reach out to me. My email's down in the description. I'll never rush your decision, and I'm here 24/7, 365 to help you find the perfect fit for your budget or investment needs. But before you start house hunting, you need to see my video about the myths that might be steering you completely wrong about Portland. What's the real cost of living? What's actually driving our home prices? Check that out. It's on the screen now. Thanks for watching.